Game Time.
The other
Doc, Lurch, and
Lurch.
Doc and Lurch. Although the show's Game Time with Doc, Lurch, and
Yeah.
Greg. But once again, Greg had something come up this week, and so he won't make it. That's fine. We've had to deal with that before. Life still happens. What? Okay, and so we're getting ready to get going now. We'll go ahead and start with a sound check before anything else gets really going. So let's see. We want sound check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Sound check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Sound check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Sound check. Check. There we go. Check. Had to wait for your whoop.
Come
in there. Okay, so we're sounding.
It was a flip, like Spider-Man's flip.
Yeah. Hubert. The Hubert cuss words.
So, dude, I make the waka waka sound effects from Pac-Man all the time. I'll just be like walking through the house, waka 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 waka.
It's waka 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 waka.
So, yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
All right, so
we're here with Game Time. As I said, it's just me and Lurch this week. We are part of Eclectic Endeavors, the people that bring you the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo and the Picnic at the End of the Universe, among other great gaming and nerd-related events throughout town. Greg usually hosts Game Day at Holdfast Brewing Company, the third Wednesday of every month. So you can go out there and actually play some live play video game, or not video, but board games and card games, dice games, and also to enter the puzzle competition if you want, where teams that are all given the same puzzle and then they time it to see which team can put the puzzle together the fastest. They have some great microbrews and some excellent food, so check that out. Third Wednesday of every month. Of course, this month we weren't there, but the people at 417 Gamer did take over for us this week, or this month. Greg was out having a wedding, and he's got a personal day going today too. There's a fair chance, just as an early warning, that we may take most of the month of December off, partly for the holidays and partly because I'm going to be closing on a house, and so I'll be moving. So I'm not sure, and since I host the main feed that everybody comes in on, if I'm not here to do it, it's a little bit more complicated to get everything going.
Yeah. And then it's, time spent with the family too, so there's a lot kind of going on in December for everybody. So it seems like it's a good time anyway.
Yeah, that's what December is kind of about. Starting from about Thanksgiving on is more of the family thing. It means that reviews of things like Spider-Man and the Matrix may have to come in our January episode. But that's okay. That gives you more time to see it. You don't have to rush out and try to see it with everything else you're doing through the holidays. Especially as a lot of things are going to be theater-only release now. There's not as much going directly to stream, except, HBO and Warner Brothers have promised to release everything direct to streaming. But Disney's pretty much stopped their premiere access because they made enough on the direct to theater releases they've tried so far. Like Eternals is going directly to theaters only. Sony's Venom went straight to theaters only. Free Guy went just to theaters. So a lot of things are theater required, but there's still not a lot of us willing to rush to theaters, especially not opening week with COVID crowds and stuff. So this will give people a chance to hold out and wait till January to catch up if you want to be in line with us when we come back to review it. And it does mean, though, that we'll probably have a whole show just about movie and TV reviews. A special show sometime in January. We'll probably have a special show, which means That'll just be me and Lurch because Greg doesn't usually stay for the media stuff. But
Yeah.
we'll probably have a special dedicated show. Maybe even the third Wednesday in January when Greg's over at Holdfast. We might dedicate that entire show to movies and media and not do any other coverage.
Perhaps.
We'll see what it
Perhaps.
comes down the line. Anyway, we've got our show for you today. We've got a little bit of stuff, not a whole lot going on in the nerd sphere right now, but we do have a few things to dish out to you. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our other screen where we have our big whiteboard, and you guys don't need to
Big
see
whiteboard.
don't need to see my Facebook. So let's go ahead and switch it over to the first topic in our thing, which is where's my mouse? Mouse is lost. Mouse, where are you, mouse? There we go. There. All right, and it takes two. This is beyond you, Philip.
Yep. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about this game because this is something that this is a game that I feel like might go under the radar for a lot of people. That came out earlier this year. It's called It Takes Two. It's this wonderful little kind of enchanting cooperative video game. It's very heavy on the co-op. You have to be and it's couch co-op. There's no online multiplayer, at least not for the PC version. I haven't tried with anything else, but I've been playing it on the PlayStation, but I've only played it couch co-op. But it's very heavy on being this. I don't want to give away any like major spoilers, but kind of the premise of this game is that the two players are playing the roles of this like husband and wife that's having marriage issues, and they're deciding to get a divorce, and their daughter is really upset about this, and she like cries on these dolls that she has that's made that resembles her parents, and doing so magically traps the parents into the bodies of these dolls, and now they're stuck trying to work together to get themselves back to normal. And it's kind of I'd say the main genre of this game is comedy, I guess comedy adventure, where the two of them are working together. There's like really great writing and the relationships between with them and what's going on, and it's just like you're traveling through this world, and it's like imaginations are kind of taken over, so you're making your way through toys and pillow forts, but it's all like dramatically expanded. Your first boss fight is against an angry vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner's angry. Yeah, the vacuum cleaner's angry because the husband broke it by sucking up a bunch of junk into it, and it messed up its digestion or whatever. And then he's mad at the wife because she promised that she'd get it fixed, but instead she just stashed it away in the barn or something. And so, and like each area has new unique puzzles where you have, each character has a different tool that they are using to try to solve these puzzles to get through. The very first set is the husband gets a nail that he can throw and whistle for it to come back to him. And the wife has the head of a hammer, and so she's able to like smash things and make things move. He's able to throw the nails to stick them into something, and then she can like swing off of those nails with the hammer, like the hooks on the hammer, things like that.
Of Yondu.
And it just Yondu. Oh yeah, yeah.
Whistle for the
and there's this book. And there's this magical book that is always showing up. Dr. Hakeem's Book of Love. It's a book written by a therapist about divorcing couples, and it's supposed to be like a relationship book to help them rebuild their relationship. And so this book is determined to get the two of them to fix their relationship and make them cooperate. And every step of the way, every time they get somewhere, he'll like show back up and talk about, we need to fix your relationship. And he's like dancing around and strutting while he's telling them, he's like, rule number 1 of a healthy relationship. And then you got to deal with puzzles involving things that he's saying or the environment. And it just has like magical touches to enhance all these different areas of the world that you're trying to travel through to get to their daughter to try to solve the problem.
So it's a little bit of backdoor
I've been
therapy.
playing it with Allie. Yeah, it's like backdoor therapy. And it's surprised. Like, I heard it was pretty good, and I mostly downloaded it because I heard it was good. It was a co-op game, and me and Allie, my partner, we were needing a new co-op game to play together. And so I was like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. I'm not familiar with these developers, but we've been playing it. We've been enjoying it so much that she's like, "Come on, let's play again." I'm like, I can't until I get off of work, or I got to finish something up, and then we can play. So, usually I'm trying to nudge her to play a game, but we've been playing this, and she's like, "Come on, let's play again."
Hey, Ellen, you got to think.
So yeah, if you've got
go ahead.
What?
I was going to say you got to think. You
were saying you got to think
in our gaming community. Couch co-op games are kind of our own version of therapy. Instead of going to see a counselor to bring us back together, we find something cooperative we can do together to help keep that bond going. Because too many people are focused on their phones and all the things going on in the world and not focusing on each other.
Yeah. And so yeah, I don't want to give away too many more spoilers about it. That's just kind of the gist of it. Those first tools I mentioned, those are like the very first of many sets of tools and uniqueness you get through the game. Then, in my opinion, they just keep getting better and better. Like the new abilities or tools you get throughout the game, and it's like one new tool at a time, and you lose it for one reason or another, and get a new ability or a tool, and it just keeps on growing from there. And so there's all kinds of cool little surprises. There's nods to other video game franchises in there too. That will give you a pretty good glee moments whenever you see those come up. I brought up the Metascore because it is got a very impressive 88 Metacritic score and a 9.0 user score. So if you have a partner, if you have a that you would love to be able to play a game with them, it's not super difficult. It gets a little bit challenging, but it's also pretty forgiving on deaths. Like you respawn real quickly. As long as one person's alive, you can keep going.
It doesn't necessarily sound like a game for hardcore gamers, so your more casual partner can jump in. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So there are some parts that get pretty challenging, but it's not like hardcore. You
don't have to be a Halo master or something to. You don't have to be a Halo master or a super multitasker to get through it.
And so the meat of it is it's like a 3D platforming. You're running around in the 3D environments that are made out of toy castles and just random junk. There's a whole level inside of a kaleidoscope. That's a trippy level.
It lists it as a action adventure linear, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Action adventure. Yeah, it's not an open world. I mean, it's got some open areas where you can explore a town, like a little town made out of toys and other random stuff and art supplies.
Right.
But mostly it's a linear adventure.
It's got the trailer here without the sound going, so we can show some of it because we don't have sound. So
you can see some of the gameplay there.
The characters are very cute.
Yeah.
It started automatically, but Indeed. It had no sound, so we didn't have to worry about it.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
I haven't quite finished it yet. Allie and I haven't quite finished the game. She was wanting me to play it with her earlier, and I was like, I got to prepare for the podcast. Right. So when we're done recording here, I'll be jumping into this game with her for tonight. Because she's jonesing to play again. So, That's all I got to say on the It Takes Two. Go out and check it out. The developers who made it specialize in co-op games. Apparently, every game they make is a co-op game, built from the ground up to be co-op.
And couch co-ops are just so nice because you don't always have the internet or want to even hook to the internet. Sometimes you just want to play together with a friend at the house.
Yeah.
It's great that we have all these massive multiplayers, but it's not the only thing out there.
And it's mandatory co-op. You can't play single player,
which is rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it to where you can't just jump in and play it a whole bunch, and get way ahead of your partner, for instance, because you can't play it single player. There we go. Exactly. Okay, great. Let's move on. Now, of course, we like to support Kickstarter here, so my next article is about the Atlas Tabletop Battle Mats and Encounter Cards for D&D 5e. As you can see, these bright, full-color maps. It's a way to level up your game with an accessory. The amount they needed was 13,769 gold. I don't know where they came up with their goal number, but they've easily made over 10 times that.
Yeah.
And it's got 12 days to go. Just shy of 1,500 backers.
Wow.
But it's basically these maps that you get in these 2 books, but the books are like book binders. So you can pull the maps out and fold them out and use them. And you look here, you get a nice preview of like the stickers, because it's the maps. There's encounter cards to go to build your encounters against. Stickers that stick to the mats, but are more like the Shrinky Dink type stickers, so you can pull them on and off without losing the adhesive. And it's dry erase. As you can see, there's a little bit of a motion thing here with no sound. So you can see it's brilliantly colored artwork. And it's all in standard 1-inch square grid. This is like enhanced immersion.
Nice.
Watch the joy on your players' faces as you throw them deep into your campaign. Contains 100 immersive hand-drawn maps of the highest quality, carefully chosen to draw your players into your story, and they're cross-compatible with Helena's Guide to Monster Hunting, which I guess is another product from this company. You see, you look at, there's a book, you open it up, there's your map. Each map is double-sided, and like I said, it's 100 maps, so that means you have 50 double-sided maps. You just, put the extra things on the map like that to help build your custom scene.
Neat.
Is the static cling, just like the old Shrinky Dinks used to use. Of course, a lot of people. And then here's like your encounter cards with a few details about encounters that you can plug into your game. Let's see. What was it?
This looks really awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm liking it for something to kind of look at. Here's the tiers of pledges. So for 30 euros, you can get the solo set. You get one or the other of the 2 books, the Dusk or the Twilight maps. 50 maps in each book. One. See, they had the dimensions for the 2 books up here somewhere. It was saying one's like a 25 by 25 grid, and the other's like an 18 by 25 grid. 18 by 22 or 25 squared. And that's, since it's on a 1-inch grid, that means you got 25 squares to a side or 25 by 18 squares. So obviously the Atlas is the bigger one, and Twilight is the smaller one. And then there's if they did get that. Oh, if you go to 35 instead of 30, you also unlock the Offering Adventures PDF, so an extra $5. Now I don't know if it's an extra $35 or if it brings it to 35 instead of 30. They're not saying exactly how that works there.
Well, it's saying that's 35,000 pounds, so it's like unlocked if they reach that stretch goal, I believe, which they've done. It seems.
The offering PDF. Okay, yeah, and they made that. Then there's the 40 euro. Is that euro or pound? No, that's pound sterling. 40 pounds, which you get the digital maps and the Monolith Encounters PDF. Plus, with you get the offering adventure, the digital monsters deck, and if you bring it up to 100, if it gets to 100K, which it has the digital monster tokens for the digital set for people who like to play a lot of like virtual tabletop type stuff.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions.
Now, of course, the one that most people I think are going to want is the 55-pound sterling duo set because you get both books plus the stretch goal stuff. You get all 100 maps. You get all applicable unlocked stretch goals. Plus, you get you got the game ready set. Now that comes with the 2 books, the encounter decks, and the reusable stickers, the shrinky dink things. Plus, the offering, the static cling stickers.
Yeah.
And they just make me think of shrinky dinks because when we were a kid, we used to color in the shrinky dinks, put them in the oven, they'd shrink, and then they had that kind of staticky cling kind of thing after that. So it's not a bad set. Okay, now for the 120 pound sterling, you get the 2 books, stickers, encounter deck, the DM screen, a custom dice set, and some pins that go with it for Moon Boy. I guess that's one of their signature, what I want to call them, mascot characters. And then, of course, you got the offering, the monster deck, and the 200 plus monster stickers. So you're just basically, okay, here's the monster right there. It's got everything. Plus pre-built VIT maps, with VTT maps, so virtual tabletop maps, and a soundscape added to it.
I was about to ask what VTT meant. Makes sense.
VTT is virtual tabletop. When I thought VIT, I wasn't sure what it was, but then I saw that was a T in the middle. I was like, yeah, virtual tabletop. And that basically gives you everything for 185 pounds sterling, all physical and all digital content. So, and that's a heck of a list there. They got pledge breakdowns. It's not as big a deal. Stretch goals, the offering, the monster deck tokens, the Undying Love Adventure. See, this one says the Undying Love Adventure is still locked. I thought it was at higher than 150, but then it's got monster.
It's at 144, if I remember right. Right?
It might be.
I think it's at 144,000.
Let's see.
So it's close. They're getting there.
Yeah, it was. They're at 166,000. Yeah. Oh, but that's U.S. dollars.
Oh.
That's U.S. So you'd have to convert
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Converted from 100. That's only 120 pounds sterling. So there's still about 29 pounds sterling and change shy.
Oh, now we see where they came up with that weird number. It's the 10,000 pound sterling goal.
Yeah.
Converted to American dollars is 13,769 or whatever.
I'm not used to them converting it automatically. That must be a new feature on Kickstarter because I'm used to seeing it in whatever their base currency is, and then you have to do this to find out what it is in your currency. But now I guess they're going to start putting it in U.S. money by default because of my settings.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably based on your settings, your own individual
wherever you say your address
location.
is. Yeah. But anyway, I thought
Yeah,
this was a pretty neat little thing for me when I was looking for stuff to talk about this week. Really sharp, nice color, um, a wide variety of things, some decent stretch goals. Not really that bad when it comes to pricing overall, and they're huge books. So who can't use more adventuring maps if you play D&D? And they're all
yeah,
done in kind of a binder format, so you can pull them out and stuff, and you don't have to worry about like them not sitting flat or anything. Um, you fold them down, and put a couple of shrinky dinks on the creases to maybe hold the creases down a little bit more, and you're good. And you customize it with the different shrinky dinks to make it feel a little bit more like your specific environment in your game. And it's 100 maps should give you plenty of encounter areas. Most DMs aren't
yeah.
going to use even that many varieties. They tend to stick to a handful of their favorite kind of terrains. Hey, what's up, EC Legacy? Welcome to the channel. Always good to see you. We were just talking about this
Legacy.
Kickstarter. We're talking about this Kickstarter, which is the Atlas Tabletop Battle Maps and Encounter Cards for D&D 5e. But we're just ending this particular topic, so we're going to go on next to Philip's next thing. Let's see, what does he say? Hope you guys have been watching the new Chucky show. Been great. I don't think I get the channel that it gets it, and I have not checked my New Zealand channel yet. But I will be checking for that because I do want to watch the new Chucky show.
Chuck.
I definitely want to see the new
Yeah,
Chucky.
I'm not.
And I love Chucky. Chucky's awesome.
Chucky's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's fun. We're talking the legacy, and my next subject is about legacy servers.
Yep, it sure is. Here we go.
So Halo. So the title here just says Halo 3, but basically all the Halo games from Xbox 360, all the Halo 3 games on Xbox 360 are having their servers shut off, so you won't be able to play online games. That is Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo Wars, and Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and Spartan Assault. There will be limited functions for multiplayer, but the servers are going to be closing in January. So you'll be able to play them offline, but you won't be able to play them online anymore after that. So you'll lose the online features. This will be coming up about a month after Halo Infinite launches, which comes out December 8th. They say they need to... January 13th is when it shuts down of 2022. They say they need to shut down 343 Studios. Says they need to shut these down so they can dedicate the resources that goes into keeping those up and running to the future of the Halo franchise.
Yeah, it says they take a lot of dedicated time resources. And they have to start dedicating their time towards their new products, not just supporting their old products.
Yeah. Now, that said, basically all these games are still playable online if you play them on the Xbox One versions of the games. So if you have, the Master Chief Collection, you can play the online of those on your Xbox One or your Xbox Series S or X. You just can't play the original Xbox 360 versions of those games and play them online with your Xbox 360s.
Because they're not keeping up that legacy system.
Yeah. So, that was kind of the heyday of the Halo franchise, was the Xbox 360 era. But, at least there's still, it's easy enough still to play these games, a more modern version of these games with available hardware when you conclude the Master Chief Collection on Xbox One. But yeah, for anyone out there that's still playing Xbox 360 online,
all two of you.
What's up?
I said all two of you. No.
Yeah, all two of you. You know they're real good. They're real good at it, though. I'm sure most of the people that are still playing them are on a first name basis with everyone else that's playing it.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's every article or story I've seen of this, whether it's a podcast or a news page like this, always calls it an end of an era.
Well, when you buy a game, you kind of think you should have that game forever. But when you buy a game that requires a third-party server to constantly be available in order to do it, you got to realize that server may not last forever. That's just part of what it comes with.
Keep in mind, there is still going to be offline multiplayer and offline campaign and everything else. Everything that doesn't require the online servers will still function. It's just anything that requires the online servers will be down. So there's still game to play there.
If you host your own private server, if you figured out how to do that, then that should still work.
Yeah.
It's just when the company has to keep it up and running and they can't afford to do that, what are they going to do?
Yeah. I wouldn't be too surprised if after the shutdown, dedicated fans to the Xbox 360 versions put together some dedicated private servers to keep playing it somehow.
That's what kept.
That's not my area of.
That's what kept EverQuest going.
So, yeah. It's fascinating how much fans can pull off when they're working together on things. When they get real dedicated, they can pull off all kinds of incredible stuff. I did want to say, since we're on the subject of Halo, one last thing is they did just put out a new trailer, a campaign trailer for Halo Infinite, and boy, it looks real good.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post on that.
I was watching I was like, my Facebook post, for those who don't see my Facebook, I made a post going, for a guy who hasn't been excited for Halo since 2007, I'm getting pretty damn hyped about Halo Infinite. This new game is looking real good. I'm more into campaign than online multiplayer, personally. Mm-hmm. And even so, regardless, this is looking great. The whole, they're showing the Master Chief swinging around like fucking Spider-Man with that grapple thing that he has now. This wire all around. Scooping up guns. I've been able to be in these flight tests, but god damn, it looks great. It's gonna be much a larger, more open spaces. There's gonna be bases to take over. Apparently, they got some new enemy types that I always appreciate when they give you some new enemy types to fight.
Well, if you're gonna be swinging around all wildly and stuff, you need room to swing, man. Spider-Man will tell you, gotta have room to swing.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear he swings. I hear he swings both ways, but that's just what I hear. Sorry, bad off-color humor, but I had to say it,
dude. Man,
hey, there's nothing wrong with swinging.
The controversy behind Superman.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you heard about the controversy with the Superman, the son of Superman, Jonathan Kent, swinging both ways. There's been a lot of controversy over it, but it's the best-selling Superman comics, apparently, that they've had in years.
Yeah, Jonathan.
They're having to go back and reprint the first 4 issues because there's so much demand now for that series.
Right. And comics are gratefully becoming more inclusive. I mean, Dreamer and Supergirl is trans. Alex Danvers and Kelly are a lesbian couple adopting a kid. Batwoman is full of more lesbians than straight women. It just happens to be how that one's written,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
So anyway,
they're getting out of the closet, which is great. A lot of these superheroes were
yep.
that way before. They were just in the closet. That's all. They're in that comic book closet.
Yeah, it's
comic
true.
book boxes.
In the closet in the comic books, because they would probably not get published if they weren't in the closet, unfortunately.
Yeah, but luckily we're becoming more accepting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, let's see. It's one of mine, I think. Yeah. Okay, and this is something I pulled off of InWorld. This is at the InWorld server. D&D and role-playing games in general have had a long-standing tradition about hit points being mainly an abstraction of health. They don't actually directly represent meat points. A lot of times when you're beat up in your game, you're not necessarily like cutting body parts off and you're not bleeding out like that many pints of blood or whatever. It could be fatigue. It could be bruising and aches and pains and stuff. It could be all these kind of things, neuropathy in your limbs from working and all these things, which is why in the beginning, when they were first writing D&D, Gary Gygax proposed an abstract system for hit points, but his partner Dave Arneson wanted to see a little bit more realistic hit point system, and so he was a big proponent for what they now call hit points as meat. And there are some games that do the hit points as meat system. Gary Gygax's argument, which was the one that won out, was that the progression he wanted to see in D&D worked better with an abstract system. He wanted to see people grow so that a first level character that dies to like a pet rat with 1 to 2 hits was nothing compared to a 10th level character that could take dozens of pet rat hits. And it wasn't just because their armor, it was because the fact that the character just got that much better, could take the hits. And part of that was described as they were rolling with the damage. So like in a fist fight or a wrestling match, you can take less damage if you know how to roll with the punches and stuff. And they combine
there's also just like pure like pain resistance too. Like
right,
if you're an average Joe, you get punched in the face, it might hurt a lot.
Like,
if you're a trained professional boxer, a punch to the face isn't going to hurt anywhere close to the same. It's going to be like, oh, it's a Tuesday.
Well, like if you remember from that movie I recommended a few weeks back, Under Siege, with Steven Seagal. In the second one, there was one of the special forces guys that was helping, the bad guys, get sprayed in the face with mace, pepper spray, over the counter mace, and he's like, it works on regular people, but otherwise it's just like a breath freshener for us, kind of thing. And I'm paraphrasing here because they're trained to do it. We often think of our Navy SEALs and our Army Recon Rangers and our Special Forces guys as being able to take massive amounts of pain and still just muscle through. And that's what Gygax wanted to reflect in the hit point system. And that's why they use an abstract system. But Arneson was a proponent for a system where hit points were actually kind of meat points. So your hit points didn't really raise much from first level. They stayed about the same. But what happened is you increased your armor damage reduction by having better armor, or you got better evasion abilities or parrying abilities to make just less damage get through. So as you went up in level, that was the way to do it. In games like Iron Kingdom, use more of that kind of system. Uh, then there's games like some of the World of Darkness games and stuff that use what's called hit levels, where instead of you having uh, a health score, everybody has so many hit levels, and every good enough hit drops you a hit level until you. And when you go down in hit levels, you'll sometimes get modifications to make things harder. Oh, you're gonna check Halo Hulu for Chucky? Yeah, because I didn't see it on my Hulu, but it didn't come up on my announcements. I didn't really look deeply at it.
Yeah.
But so, and this goes back to the very dawning of Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people think that it's a newer argument, but it comes from the founders themselves when they were first designing the game. And so they did a big talk about that. Hand me one of my sodas too before you're done filling in.
Okay, so 4.
Yep. Right, and so I wanted to just touch bases on this a little bit.
It's pretty neat. I think I've heard of it mentioned as a joke, but didn't know it was like a legit thing. You know, that was a topic of conversation. Ugh.
I don't like sponge candy. Okay, and
Sponge candy?
Yeah, they've got chocolate covered sponge candy over here. I'm not a big chocolate person or sponge candy person, so it just sounds ugh to me.
I'm not sure what sponge candy is, but
it's kind of like almost like a jelly filled kind of thing, but it's
more honeycombish.
Yeah, kind of like honeycomb. Some of those are the better ones, but it's kind of a cross between like a jelly and a Three Musketeers kind of an internal texture. The ones I've seen.
It's closer to Butterfinger.
Well, I might try one then, but we'll see. If it's more like Butterfinger, I might try one because I love Butterfingers.
I'm disappointed that no one out there's like, don't lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Those are good commercials.
Nobody better put
from The Simpsons.
Kind of nougaty in a way.
A little bit airier than Butterfinger, but okay. So it's like a lighter Butterfinger with a thicker chocolate coating.
Sounds pretty good.
Very, very similar to honeycomb. Okay, but yeah, I wanted to share this out because, of course, most modern games all go back to some of these beginning games. The Dungeons and Dragons started the whole hit point system. And how many video games use hit points and stats and stuff?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Almost all your video games were inspired at least partly by Dungeons and Dragons. Even the non-medieval fantasy ones still borrowed from hit points and ability scores and things like armor and armor reduction and stuff like that were all pioneered in the D&D days. So it's nice sometimes to take a look back behind the curtain to what came before.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see now.
I agree.
Let's go to your next topic, and that is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yep. So the new the new Guardians of the Galaxy video game just dropped yesterday. For PS5, PS4, PC, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And this is a game I've been keeping a close eye on because I'm a big Marvel fan. I don't think anyone and DC fan, but superhero fan. I'm a big fan. And so I was really hoping this was going to turn out well. And people were really nervous because it was released by Square Enix as the publisher, and it's the same publisher behind the Marvel's Avengers, and that's got mixed reviews. But this new game, Guardians of the Galaxy, is sitting comfortably in Metascore of 81 at the moment, with a user score of 9.3. So it's getting some really positive reviews. There's a few reviewers that aren't a huge fan, but it's in an overall very positive reviews. I have it downloaded, but I haven't had time to actually play it myself.
It's nice that it's on PlayStation 4. people like me who haven't
Yeah.
afforded the 5 can get it.
Yeah, who haven't afforded it or been able to track one down because of those stupid semiconductor shortages we're having.
Right.
But yeah, this game has had me peaked since I first saw it. It kind of looks to me, and quick reminder, I haven't played this game yet, but from what I've seen, it's kind of like it kind of looks like a Mass Effect game because you are controlling one character, you're controlling Star-Lord, shooting guns and jumping around. I mean, Mass Effect, you can't jump, but you're maneuvering around and shooting enemies, and then giving out commands to your teammates, to the other Guardians of the Galaxy. And then, and when you're near cutscenes and stuff, you have decisions to make as Star-Lord, as the commander, as the leader of the Guardians, for your missions and what's happening. You get to make choices.
And it'd be nice if.
And so I was like, "Oh my god!"
I don't know if they do, but it'd be nice if that's some side missions.
Yeah,
sometimes took on one of the other characters.
Yeah.
If they did.
No, my understanding is you don't play as any of the other characters at any point. But
well, maybe when they do.
Yeah, I was like, maybe. But yeah, when I was watching, I fell in love with Mass Effect when they came out with the Legendary Edition earlier this year, and then I was watching this and I was like, oh, taking the Mass Effect kind of game but making it from Marvel properties like this just sounds like the perfect taste, a perfect mixture for me of a game I'm going to love. So I'm so happy to see that it's reviewing well and it's being regarded as a quality game. I can't wait to play. I'll probably start this weekend just because I'm busy and got things, and most of my video gaming time is playing with Allie on that It Takes Two game.
Right.
But I want to let people know that this game is now officially been released. Came out yesterday, and it's doing well. It's scoring well, at least. So if you have an interest, if you like Mass Effect or you like shooting games and Guardians of the Galaxy, go check it out.
Right. Let's see if they've got.
Now, while we're moving away from here, I do have one other. Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get to media in a little bit. I know we still got another subject. Do you mind if I throw you one more link for another thing?
No,
I'll make it real quick.
Let's go ahead.
Okay. So go ahead with your next subject, and I'm going to shoot you a link.
Well, because I need to grab the link.
So,
or I can do my subject.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's see. Let's do that.
Yeah,
In my next subject.
I sent you the link. You can do your next subject. Yeah.
Then drag the link over. Okay. From the Vault. Now, my original plan was to do the original Chucky series from the Vault, but I could not find it on any of the streaming services I had, and I don't like to recommend something that you have to go out and pay for, unless you've got the streaming service. I mean, I do understand people pay for the streaming services and stuff, so couldn't find all the Chucky movies. They might be on Netflix. I don't know. Or they are on Stars, I believe. But my next thought was the original Addams Family movies. But I know they're on Stars. But they're
man.
But the Addams Family TV show is also a great pull from the Vault, because this is the thing that kind of started it all in the media. For instance, I mean, there was the cartoons, which were originally posted in the New Yorker by Douglas Adams. I think Charles Adams. Something Adams. I forget it now. I've slept since I last saw his name. And a lot of the characters didn't even have names. And some characters that you see in the media versions weren't even invented during the comic book era. But the main characters in the comic strip, not comic book, but comic strip, were.
It was Charles Adams. You had me questioning myself, and so I had to check it. I was like, I don't think it's
Yeah,
you said Douglas Adams. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Douglas Adams was Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, right.
Get me confused.
The main characters though that you saw in the comic strip really were the characters that eventually became named Gomez, Morticia, Fester, and Wednesday. Those characters were common characters in the cartoon strip. With every once in a while, you got Grandmama or Lurch, and there was a character similar to Pugsley, but he never quite came through. In the newer cartoon versions, are a little bit more reminiscent of the Pugsley from the comic strip. Anyway, the TV show came on, and first of all, one of the first things they did was gave them all names. So Gomez Adams, of course, the main character, the suave, debonair, patriarch of the Adams clan, independently wealthy because he just like goes and like stock market and stuff, buys whatever he feels like, and it just happens to work. Because he's got a laissez-faire attitude towards it. So he's like, he can just burn money. They got so much money. Morticia Adams, which is the half witch, half vampire type character, but you never quite know for sure. She mainly was portrayed as as a witch, but sometimes you kind of got that vampire feeling from her too. They never quite say for sure, but she, of course, marries Gomez, and in later things, they basically it was kind of an inbred family because Adams always married other Adamses. Just so many generation really like second cousins and stuff. But you married other Adamses because normal people just didn't fit into their culture. So
I do think they will whenever they find someone. There has been a number of times where
every once in a while they bring someone in, like from the original Addams Family movie. The one lawyer's wife ends up going with Cousin It.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, I love the Addams Family. I have this show. I have this black and white show on DVD.
Oh, and I watched
the whole series.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can watch the Addams Family TV show if you've got Amazon Prime Video because it's in the IMDb channel, which is one of the ones you get free with Amazon Prime. Now it does have commercials.
Oh, nice.
It does have commercials, but you can watch the Addams Family TV show. And really, I think anybody who's ever enjoyed a movie for the Addams Family, or the animated movies that have just recently come out, really should go back to this TV series because the TV series is addictive. I mean, you will sit and binge watch and not want to stop. I mean, the funny 70s, 80s sitcom kind of feel, but with that Addams Family twist to it, just draws you in and makes you want to sit down and watch. I used to, when it was, we didn't have all these streaming services. If you was clicking through the TV and looking for what was playing and an old episode was on, I had to stop and watch it. It's just one of those things. Fester Adams is one of my favorite characters in all of TV history. The squeaky voiced Fester in the TV show is a lot different from like Christopher Lloyd's portrayal in the movie, but still great characters. And of course, the way they did it, the way they introduced Fester in the first of the movies, he had gotten amnesia in the Bermuda Triangle, and so he first came in thinking he was going to rob the Adamses with his mother, who was the lady that had rescued him. Well, found him on the beach in driftwood and shit. But then a bolt of lightning gives him his memory back, and he realizes, hey, he is Fester Adams. Plus, the whole time he's there supposedly stalking the place, pretending to be the long-lost Fester Adams, he finds out that he truly likes the Adamses. And why not? He's an Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
quick fun fact. This is the source of my nickname of Lurch.
Yes, I thought you'd appreciate that.
I got the I got the nickname Lurch back when I was in high school because it was actually started off as a roadie name because I was hanging out with this band all the time called Rings of Rust. They were called Salem at first, but turned out there was another band that had copyrighted the name Salem for a band, so they changed to Rings of Rust. But yeah, there was this group of high school kids that was in the band, and because I was helping them so much, they wanted to give me a roadie name, and Lurch, was real fitting because I was tall and wore black all the time and was always helping out. I was helping out with stuff.
You also have a deep voice and stuff. You rang.
Yeah. A lot of time I used to answer my phone with that. I'd be like, "You rang."
I used to love it when because for having the least emotive face in the TV series, he had a lot of the most emotive vocalizations. Because when he was like rolling his eyes, kind of thing, he would go, "Ugh," and you could feel the frustration he was talking about.
Yeah,
and he barely said anything, but the little bits of utterances. Like my favorite episode of all the old TV show is when they sold his old harpsichord, and of course Lurch is known for playing the harpsichord, and it's his favorite hobby other than being a butler. It's all he did is play the harpsichord and be a butler, and sometimes a chauffeur. But even then, Thing, which was introduced in the TV series, was not in the comic book or comic strip, which is a big thing because Thing became one of their signature characters. But Thing actually drives more than Lurch does. But Lurch played the harpsichord, and then they sold his harpsichord on him, and he spent the whole thing. You'd hear him go, "I want my harpsichord," and you felt so bad for the character because.
Did they sell it or did they donate it? I feel like they donated it to a charity, right?
Well, they donated it to a museum, but it was actually a scam because they were trying to steal the harpsichord because of the value of it. Because everybody was always trying to steal Gomez. And Gomez and Morticia would give you the shirt off their backs just to do it.
Yeah.
They were for being monsters, they were very generous, nice monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because like so many people would go so far out of their way to try to scam them or try to steal from them, and in the end of the day, probably they could just come to them and ask them for money, and they'd be like, "Sure thing, old chum, just sword fight me for a bit."
Yeah, if you just got up the gumption to ask him for a loan, Gomez would be like, "How much do you need, old chum? Okay, now on guard."
Yeah.
And they'd be fine. But most people were so put off by them that they were like starved for friendship, but at the same time, they believed everybody liked them because nobody told them to their face, or at least not some that they'd recognize. I mean, they thought screaming and shit like that was a compliment.
And I'll always say that Gomez and Morticia are relationship goals.
Oh,
they're the best. They're the best fictional relationship ever.
They are functional. They are not dysfunctional at all. They are about as functional as you get, especially for sitcom TV functional. They don't ever fight.
Right.
All Tish has to do is say one word in French, and she's got Gomez wrapped around her little pinky. Wait, Tish, that's French. Yeah. And of course the Adams family was the inspiration for the Munsters. So and that was Fred Le Guin's TV show where he played Herman Munster, who was he was a Frankenstein's monster, and his wife Lily literally was a witch/vampire, because her grandfather, was basically Dracula. You
Yeah.
know, but the big telling thing about the Munsters that was all kind of different is they had the one teenage daughter that looked completely normal. And they were in the Munsters were always kind of felt sorry for her for being such an outcast. The poor dear. Uh, but yet, what? Yes, that poor thing. And yet, everybody at the normal schools thought she was the number one hottie on campus. You know, because she was the image of 1970s. Well, 60s and 70s was when the main thing when it went through. But she was the image of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s pretty girl around campus, nice, sweet, innocent girl next door
Yeah.
type that everybody wanted to get with. She was totally what you call it, a Betty, from Archie
The Betty.
Comics. From Archie Comics, you had your
Gotcha.
Bettys and you had your Veronicas. Your
Yeah.
Veronica was your mean girl, and your Betty was your sweet girls next door. Marianne from Gilligan's Island types, and she was a Betty as far as everybody was concerned. To use the nomenclature of the day, and
Yeah.
not that I think that way about people, but that's the nomenclature at the time. Is that she was, and she's a character, so you used a character nomenclature, and the Adam, I mean the Munsters would be like, the poor dear, she'll never get a man.
Well,
and these
you
boys
said,
would brave
you said
the
that.
Munsters. Go ahead.
I was saying you said the Adams Family is watchable on Amazon Prime.
Yes, under
To this
IMDb.
version, the original show.
Yes, under
Cool.
IMDb.
Cool.
I mean, you get commercials, but hey, that's worth it for something
Yeah.
like this. You can have her playing in the background while you're doing other stuff, and at times you'll really focus in on it, and other times just kind of listen and laugh.
Yeah.
But it's great because during the
Well,
commercial
cool.
you can get other things done. And like I said, with the Munsters and the Addams Family, those two shows kind of revolutionized TV, and in a lot of ways, them combined with I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched and My Favorite Martian were the original sci-fi / supernatural shows. We had a lot of like My Three Sons and the Brady Bunch and
Yeah.
I Love Lucy and all of these kind of regular families, and then suddenly out of nowhere you get the Addams Family, and then the Munsters and My Favorite Martian and Mr. Ed and Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and all these things. You started to realize that you can have a little bit of fantasy above and beyond just the perfect 1950s family. Sometimes you had to have the perfect, imperfect 1950s family because everybody is monsters, and they like to make the monsters cute and lovable instead of scary, but still reflect in the show that to the show's environment people, they were frightening as hell.
Yeah.
These boys that went to go see the daughter in the Munsters would brave the Munsters family house to go in there just because they wanted her attention. But, they didn't always make that bravery for very long. They ran pretty quickly. And the other thing about the two shows is the Addams Family were independently wealthy, rich monsters. And the Munsters, Herman Munster was a working class guy that went and worked in the graveyard. Took a lunch pail to work every day. They didn't have buckets of money and they worried about bills and stuff like everybody else. But they were, again, another functional family because Herman and Lily loved each other. The only thing is, Herman was always falling for get-rich-quick schemes and things like that because he was your Ralph Crandon, Ed Norton type of character, like from the Honeymooners. He was the working class guy who was always trying to get ahead while also being a monster.
Mm.
This is the comic TV show that Disney's recent movie E.T.C. Legacy is asking in the channel. Yeah, this is the original that the movies, the new Addams Family movies, were based around, and this itself was based around a comic strip in the New Yorker by Charles Adams. And in the comic strip, none of the characters had names, and a lot of the characters that we take for granted nowadays didn't even exist. Like Cousin It and Thing weren't even in the comic strip. They were invented for this TV show. And now they're considered as canon characters as possible. In fact, Grandmama isn't even used as much as It and Thing. Gotcha. Anyway, we're going to move on, but this is my pull from the vault, because every week I like to pull for a movie or a TV series from a decade or more ago for the more modern listeners and audience to check out, because they may have missed it, because it was before their time. But now, especially with modern streaming services and everything, you can get into a lot of before your time kind of stuff relatively cheaply or free, depending. Like a lot of people get either Hulu or Netflix or something with their cell phone service, or you might watch one of the free things like Tubi, and I'll recommend stuff from Tubi. So we want everybody to kind of realize that nerddom in TV and media has been going on for generations. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go on next, and the next thing is also an additional media pick, although we won't be in our media section yet. But this one is the one Lurch wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And people are pretty excited about.
I just learned today. Yeah, Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story is getting his own movie. And by Buzz Lightyear, yeah, I mean, maybe I heard about it somewhere in the past and I forgot about it. But they put out a trailer today, a teaser trailer. And yeah, it's basically, it's not the Buzz Lightyear as a toy. Yeah, it's an origin story of Buzz Lightyear, like as a Starfleet commander or whatever it was. I forget the name of it. So he's not a toy-sized Tim Allen character. He's voiced by Chris Evans, and this looks surprisingly good. Like, it looks like a pretty serious film of him going out and being, a hero. Let's see.
It's
I'm trying to remember what it was.
It's an action-adventure type of movie, from what I understand. But it's not the Toy Story type of action-adventure movie where a lot of it is done in a little kid's bedroom with a bunch of toys. It's actually the character of Buzz Lightyear in Star Command going out to infinity and beyond. And he's the character. Yeah. It's basically the movie in the Toy Story universe that the toys were based upon.
Yeah. Exactly.
It is. So basically, we're getting an insider look at what inspired the toys that were in Toy Story. In this case, we're going on one of the most popular of the toys. In fact, other than Woody, Buzz Lightyear were the two main toys in competition for supremacy in the Toy Story universe. As far as the main little boy was concerned, his favorite toy for the longest time was Woody until Buzz Lightyear came out.
So I like this. There's a nice little summary here on Variety where they say, in the trailer, we see the real Lightyear suit up for what will surely be a dangerous and daring space mission. He boards a space shuttle with a ground-controlled crew anxiously watching as it blasts off into the unknown cosmos. To the tune of David Bowie's Starman, Lightyear explores alien planets, learns about space travel from an instructional robot, and finally gazes up on his iconic green and white spacesuit in the final moments of the trailer.
Right.
Something that's fun. Okay, so Chris Evans, who is Captain America, is doing the voice of Buzz Lightyear, and he only says one word in this whole trailer, and it's whenever another space hero, I don't know what to call them, is also in her space flight suit, and she's saying to him, to infinity, and he says, and then that's like, it cuts off there. You don't hear him say beyond.
They really want to tease us.
But yeah, it had a weirdly serious trailer than I was expecting it to be more goofy.
It's a little more gritty than you'd expect.
Yeah.
A little bit more
and I'm really looking forward to this. Like, if someone just told me there's a Lightyear movie coming out, I'd be like, okay, it sounds like it'll probably be silly. I'll end up watching it. Now I'm watching this going, I watched this today and I was like, oh my god, this looks like a cool take.
When's it going to come out? Chopping at the bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
2022 at some point. I don't know
I don't think they've got a release date yet. I don't think they've given one yet. They're still kind of in that pre-process. But we are now
it's such a wild concept.
Right. But there's a lot of people kind of clamoring for it. We're getting ready to go into our media section now, so if you don't like spoilers, you better turn it off right now. I got that over 45
I had that one last link I sent you. I wanted to bring up real quick. Yeah.
Let me grab that last link here.
It was a subject I meant to send you earlier, and I messed up and didn't send it to you earlier.
Is it
yeah, the Zelda
Nintendo
one.
Switch thing?
It's not about Zelda. It's about Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo Switch right there.
Online N64 games.
Yeah. So the N64 games just came out for the Nintendo Switch, and there are a lot of problems. You would think for an extra $30 a year, this would be like pristine versions of these games, like they'd be playing really well. But there's all kinds of weird little quirks. Just for starters, here, like someone took some screenshots of the N64 version, the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console version, and then the new Switch version, with the new Switch version looking worse than the GameCube version for Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, where there's water, like not having reflections and just looking real choppy. One that's really weird to me is the button layouts are kind of screwed up. The A is the A button, B is the B button, but then like Y is your C left, and X I think is your C up. And then there is the C down and C right, because you don't have 6 buttons on the face of it. So then they apparently have it like mapped to like the hold down your ZR button to add the whole C stick controls. I don't know. It's wonky. And in the app, in the tool, in the N64 tool, they don't have a way to remap the controls. So some games will be fine, but a lot of the games are going to be kind of messed up unless you play them with an N64 controller that they made for the system.
Right.
Also, there's a couple of games that used the save pack on the back of the N64 controller to save games that bug on this because there's no save pack on the back. So in order to save the game, you have to use a save state. And you'll get an error message whenever the game itself tries to save, because it's like unable to detect a save pack on the N64 controller.
So their conversions didn't work.
Because it's just emulating... Yeah,
That's
it's just
acting like
basically
an
emulating
emulator.
the N64 version of the game. Yeah,
They didn't completely
yeah. So
overhaul it. They
they're
just
the
emulated it.
yeah. They just slapped emulators on here. It looks like and
Ugh.
uh,
For that
yeah.
additional
So it's
price
got a
tag,
number
that's
of
gonna
problems.
hurt. That additional price tag, that's gonna hurt
Yeah,
them because nobody wants to
yeah.
pay that kind of price just for an emulator. They can get a bootleg emulator if they want to do that. I mean, come on.
Right.
I mean, if
It,
you pay for something from the company that designs it, you expect quality, not emulator freaking glitzy shit. You know,
yeah.
you want them to actually have taken the time to remap everything so the saves are mapped to the save device on Switch, not to the old Joy command. You want it mapped to the controllers that you're using. You don't want it to be
Yeah.
like it's only going to work if you buy this extra controller that's supposed to be optional, or it's going to be buggy as hell. That's not what you want. You want it.
Yeah.
If you want it to play playable on the Switch, you want it to be playable on the Switch. You don't
Yeah.
want to have to. This is the
And
reason you want it. Not you don't want to get another N64 emulator. I can get it on
and
the
you know
PC any day of the week.
and you know what's crazy is that save bug doesn't, there's not really right now a fix for it. Even if you get the N64 controller for the Switch, it doesn't have a plug-in on the back to put
Right.
in one of those save blocks.
I didn't anticipate
So,
there was. Yeah.
Yeah. Mario Kart 64 is one of the games plagued by this. Like in Mario Kart 64, there's supposed to be this feature where you can have like ghost racers based on like your best runs or whatever, so you can race against ghost versions of yourself. And on the N64 version, those save to the little pack. It'll error and won't save it on this version on the Switch because it doesn't detect that controller pack.
Which means you can't load those
Like,
old ones because they won't have saved.
How did Nintendo fuck this up so bad? I don't understand.
It's a slap.
It seems like
they slap shot it together instead of actually working it. They basically relied on emulator technology. It's not about emulator technology.
not even it's not even good emulator technology. The free emulators that are out there are much better.
Yeah, because they can.
Hell,
They can,
the version they've had on the Wii worked.
Well, the emulators they have for the PC have at least rerouted the save files, and they give you the ability to remap the controllers. So that's just it. If you want an emulator, you're just going to go out to like one of those ROM warehouses websites and just get your emulator where you get your ROMs, and just get the ROMs in the emulator there. And sure, you're getting old glitzy out copies, but looks like that's what you're getting here.
Yeah. There's also sometimes the audio will be out of sync. There was I saw some. I haven't had this happen to me, but I have seen video footage of someone starting up Super Mario 64 on there, and the video will start, and then the audio will be like way behind and like dragging really bad. So it'll be like.
I know.
It's like, wow, that's horrible.
When we're watching a TV show or a movie, nothing drives Allison more crazy than when the audio is out of sync. It bugs her to her last nerve. What was that?
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God. Basically agreeing.
Yeah.
That drives her nucking futs. She hates that.
Yeah, for an extra $30 a year on top of what I was already paying, just for the N64 games, Nintendo really needs to buckle in and fix these glitches before long, because
otherwise people are going to go back to the cheap
emulators. No matter how many games they put on the service, if they're not going to make them run right, then there's no point in having the service.
Absolutely.
So I've already paid for my year. So they have a year to
fix it,
to convince me to pay for a second year.
Fix it or forget it. Yep, I totally agree. That's just how it is.
I don't care if they put 50. I don't care if they put 50 more N64 controllers between now and or games on there between now and next year. If they don't fix
If
it
it's
so it works right, I'm not going to renew.
if it's just an emulator, why bother?
Yeah.
Because emulators are a dime a dozen on the internet.
I'll get a Steam Deck handheld and use emulators on that so I can play them on the go. That's
Yeah,
one of the big things in this is being able to play on the go.
right. Okay, now we are
Like
going into
I'm
our
not afraid to pay a little bit. I'm not afraid to pay a little bit for quality shit. You know, that's why I went ahead and subscribed to this because I was expecting quality, and I don't know
Well,
why.
yeah,
All
because
right, sorry. I just
oh yeah,
had
no, I totally agree. This
a
is the
rant
one
about that a little bit.
oh yeah, I absolutely agree. This is a major disappointment and does not show well for Nintendo at all. Unless they fix it, and I
Yeah,
mean soon, their market share is going to seriously hurt because of this. Because it'll affect their other products that aren't even involved with this just because of the backlash. People are not going to
yeah,
respect this at all. It's not professional. Okay,
yeah,
we're going into our media thing now. So, like we've said on
yeah.
numerous occasions, if you do not like spoilers, then you're in the wrong place because we're going to be doing some
Spoiler
spoilers.
season.
We are not going to hold back. Let's see, close that out.
We
And
need to get like little. We need to get like little pictures of like car spoilers and like spoiled food or milk or something. Like
yeah,
whenever
like a
we're going
flash
in
on the
spoilers,
screen.
and they like kind of flash across the screen. Yeah, just
Well,
just have a joke imagery to come across when we're switching it for a few
well,
seconds.
I recently updated to Windows 11, and one of the things that they've got is
Oh,
supposedly a better video editor. So once I get moved and situated, I might play around with the video editor and make us our own little opening sequence and a transitional sequence between the regular stuff and our media stuff, which will have the spoiler alert on it. And we'll have to get together and figure out what exactly we want to put in that. But we need to put an opening sequence and a transition sequence in that I can just run from my hard drive through the video editor. So hey, we're going pro in 2022, guys.
2022.
Okay.
Uh,
Now we thought that this week was going to be the season finales for Stargirl and Supergirl, but turns out that they do have at least a couple more episodes coming. There's going to be one more episode of Stargirl and 3 total episodes of Supergirl. One next week, and then a double episode the following week. And that will round us out with 20 total episodes of Supergirl for its series finale and 13 episodes for Stargirl. But this week, we were amping everything up, and we're going to start off with actually Legends of Tomorrow. In this case, Legends of Tomorrow, which is of course is in their new season, they are pretending that Steel is J. Edgar Hoover, and
yeah, because
on
last episode he accidentally killed J. Edgar Hoover.
he accidentally killed him, and they find that he has a ticket, and he's supposed to be riding a train to New York, which is where they need to go to find the guy with the time travel science experiment that can hopefully get them back on track, and then they can come back and fix things. So they board the train, and for their cover story, he's bringing in the 2 girls as the bank robbers, which like the blonde bombshells or something like that was the name of them. And
Bullet Blondes.
the Bullet Blondes, that's it. The Bullet
Yep.
Blondes, and so he arranges to get extra rooms for them and for his security detail. Unfortunately for Hoover / Steele, somebody who knows him personally comes and starts bugging him, so he has to go out and hobnob, and they have to go through some brilliant sleuthing, like Hoover would do, and everything. But all that's going on while back at the farm, we've got Astra and what's her name? I can never think of her damn name.
Spooner.
Spooner, that's it.
Spooner.
Astra and Spooner are there, and they're realizing that they need to get to catch up with the rest of the team and like do it ASAP. I don't remember why it is.
Well, they've got Gideon there, and Gideon can't speak.
Oh, that's right.
At the
Gideon
beginning of the episode.
does end up giving away that like they're in great danger if what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so they have to
Yeah,
go
by
find
the
a
end of the
water-
episode, like basically the whole episode for those three characters is Gideon can't speak, Astra and Spooner feel worthless because Astra's magic didn't quite work right, and Spooner doesn't have her powers anymore. But at the end of the episode, and they can't understand what Astra's wanting to tell them, and they don't know if she understands her. But by the end of the episode, Spooner figures out that she can understand Gideon if she touches her arm, and then somehow that makes her able to speak. And then she tells them, "We have to get to New York because before the legends because they're in grave danger if we don't." And that's
Right.
basically their whole little thing. And so now we can focus on the train, the events happening on the train.
Right, and so Hoover has to go out to the dining car to have drinks with his buddy because his buddy basically won't take no for an answer. So he comes out there, and the one lady has something missing from her purse, which was a snack that she had packed away. Then it turned out that her little pet dog had stolen the snack, and it was hiding under a table, and Hoover found it. But they were expecting the brilliant deduction of Hoover because one of the things Hoover was known for was being a brilliant investigator. At the time, he was the closest to the living Sherlock Holmes that we had. Historically speaking, I'm sure he made more errors than they say in the history books because we like to embellish things as things go along and make our heroes even more heroic. But that was the thing. J. Edgar Hoover, he started the CIA. He basically ran the
FBI. He started the FBI.
the FBI. He basically ran one of the United States' most premier covert operations units in history. And the CIA grew out of the FBI. It just became that the FBI did things on American soil, and the CIA was supposed to do things overseas. And that was the main dichotomy between the two agencies. But they're doing all this to try to like get things to fit in, and it's just their general slapstick abounds, which is, of course, what the legends are now known for. And that's pretty much most of what I have. If you have additional comments on this episode, go for it.
Well, so at the end, okay. So there is someone, they get word that there's someone trying to capture and or kill Hoover on the train. Like there's a trap that's being set for him. And they gotta figure out who it is. And Nate uses a potion that Gary makes to make him look like Hoover. I think you mentioned that earlier. But so they're having to play up this Hoover business and do an investigation. Nate's having to investigate and figure out who is responsible. And unfortunately, all of Hoover's men are all very racist and always think it's a foreigner that's responsible for it. But at the end of the episode, and Nate is having to play along and act like he agrees with them that it's foreigners and act like he's going along with the torturing of suspects or whatever. But it turns out that the so-called friends of Hoover are the abductees. They're the inside men. They aren't actually Hoover's friends. They knew Hoover's nickname for his personal close friends. And just acted like they were his buddies. And they actually were working for Al Capone. and they get the train stopped, and there's a bunch of Al Capone's men outside waiting for him. And he goes out there to confront them as Hoover, but he doesn't know it, but the spell has worn off by the time he goes out there to see them. And so he just looks like Nate, and he's like, listen, I'm here, I give up, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, who are you? He's like, what do you mean, who am I? He's like, we are asking for Hoover. Who are you? And he's like, sees his reflection in someone's shades. He's like, I'm nobody. I'm no one important. I'm just the guy who killed Hoover. So now they're in a pickle where they're not sure what they should do. And while this is going on, the others get together that are around and bring out a bunch of booze, and the bullet blondes come out and try to be flirty and like, hey, can't we just settle this and have some drinks and yada yada, and they're getting along with Al Capone's men. It looks like they're gonna part ways, but it's hard to say. It's tense. You're not sure what's gonna happen. Then a car pulls up out of nowhere, and Al Capone gets out of the car. Or not Al Capone, sorry. Hoover gets out of the car. And Hoover is a fucking badass. He just tears through all these gangsters like nothing. He's shooting their kneecaps out, hitting their, he's whipping them around like playthings, kicking their asses like an action hero. And then, to survive, or just to try to stop him from killing everybody, Sarah hits him in the back of the head with a bottle, a wine bottle or whatever, and seemingly knocks him out. But the bottle breaks, and then they go back, they look at Hoover, and he's not moving, and then they try to check for a pulse, and there's no pulse. They're like, did we kill him again? And Sarah pulls a piece of shard out of the back of his neck, but he's not bleeding. And then they realize that where he was stabbed in has got a tear, and they pull it away, and underneath is a robot. So somehow there's now a robot Hoover, which then self-destructs. I don't know why. I don't know where this robot Hoover came from, but it's kind of insane.
Curious, or yeah, I must have fallen asleep at the end again, like I tend to do sometimes.
Yeah,
and I never went back to it because I didn't remember that part at all. X Biscuit X
and
with an emoji, it looks like a heart of some kind. But anyway,
yeah, heart with arms around it. Hi, X Biscuit.
Yeah.
Anyway. And I think that wraps up Legends. Crazy episode.
Now I know I went through Supergirl and Stargirl all the way through because I did it twice today, to be sure. Supergirl. First off, they're deciding that they've got to go after the Love Totem. We find out, of course, at the end of last episode that Lex was behind the gauntlets that Nixley got. And we find out in this episode that from Lex himself that he's actually in love with Nixley. They met in the future. He never thought he would love anybody, but Nixley's just as evil and diabolical as him, and he has to respect that, and so he's in love. And it makes sense because they're going for the Love Totem. And he also reveals at one part in this episode that even though you destroy one of the totems, their energy's just gonna move into another vessel. Because he's got the Hope Totem in another vessel for her, so that she can still make the Power Stone, whatever it's called, the All Stone.
Yeah, the All Stone, the Power Stone.
But but they go to fight, and originally the plan is to create a device using the two totems that the Super Friends have. They don't want to use the totems themselves because it's too much power for anybody to wield, and the side effects are too deadly, or too dangerous, not deadly necessarily. But what they do is instead they Brainy, with the help of Mia and Luther and all that work together to make this device that can basically generate a shield using the power of the gems, and like an attack weapon using the power of the gems, of the totems. But it ends up insufficiently powerful to stop Nixley. I keep wanting to call her Nixley. And they go going for the Love Totem. And when Nixley goes to grab the Love Totem off of the place it's mounted on, this little, like, looks like the side of a casket kind of bas relief area, she goes to grab it and it disappears right in front of her. And then so Luther, or she teleports out from the ship, and Luther is frustrated throughout the whole episode because he's offering her love and friendship, and she's not accepting it because she just plain don't trust men. But especially, she says, the one thing I hate, men who throw women into the Phantom Zone. And since he's the one that threw Supergirl in the Phantom Zone, whether they're friends or not, she don't trust him. She just flat don't trust him. But he builds a device to work with her orb to combine science and magic to make the orb work again to help her find the Love Totem. Now, as a side plot, Alex and Kelly, Alex is working real hard. The rings she had ordered for Kelly to propose had arrived. And the next day was going to be the anniversary of when they first realized they were in love in the alien bar. Owls, I think. But so she's going to book the bar and decorate it and propose that night to Kelly. And then so she goes with little Chloe to the alien bar to reserve the bar. And for once, the bar is reserved that night. And he's and everything, which totally blows her mind. Says, you didn't even know you could reserve it, or she'd have called and done it. And
yeah.
So she gets discouraged and stuff. But one of the things she finds in her pocket after the battle is the Love Totem, which acts like as a symbol to her that maybe their love can still work. And
okay, so the Love Totem appears when she's about to propose to Kelly. So after she finds out she can't book the bar, she later on comes back to the bar to try to convince Al again, and she gets there and finds that Kelly is there and has the place booked. Kelly's the one who booked it. And then Kelly, and then Kelly starts to propose. Kelly starts to propose to Alex, and then Alex stops her and reaches into her pocket to pull out her ring that she wants to propose with.
That's right.
But instead of pulling out the ring, she pulls out the Love Totem that's somehow in her pocket.
Right.
It's attracted to their love for each other and the love she has, and goes into her pocket.
Right. And then of course...
And then right after that, Nixley shows up.
With Luther this time.
And the little girl...
says, Supergirl!
Yeah, with Lex Luthor. Yeah, the little girl screamed Supergirl, and it was kind of adorable. And then Supergirl and company show up. Yeah.
But yeah.
That was so funny. See that little 10-year-old girl, Supergirl!
Yeah, and then
Here she comes.
Fighting, and the Love Totem goes just out of reach of Nixley and darkens like it's been destroyed or depowered or whatever. And
the Super Friend, or who was it? Martian Manhunter? One of the heroes accidentally blasted the Love Token. Totem.
Because he had the Courage Totem. Because he had the Courage Totem.
Yeah.
And Supergirl had the Humanity Totem. And they had decided to actually use the totems because they had no other choice. So they were using
they were using them as weapons against Nixley.
But Luther's sister, Lana Luthor, had been convinced by Lena, that's right, Lena Luthor, had been convinced by Kara to cast a spell to protect people from the feedback side effects of the totems, so that it didn't zap all the humanity or all the courage out of all the civilians around it when it was activated. And also the danger of if, like, for instance, Supergirl was to lose her humanity, she figured that she had her friends and family to bring her back to humanity. And the same thing with Martian Manhunter and his courage.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they zap it and the totem seems to be depowered. Now Luthor could grab the totem, but instead he teleports over to Nixley and gets her out of there. And Nixley is completely confused, says, I don't understand. You had the totem in your grasp, but you saved me instead. Why would you do that? And stuff. And he's like, I'm not going to force you to like me or anything, whatever. No. I'm going to stand back. And then she's like, no, I think we can actually be friends. And so they come together for the final battle. And it's just...
Well, that was the final battle of that episode. Anyway.
But they come
together. So, yeah, the ending is... Yeah, they come together, and then that's when he reveals he has the Hope Totem, because you can't really destroy them. I mean, you can destroy them, but then they come back in another form somewhere.
And then the last
and then he's like,
in the episode...
And he's like...
Well, go ahead.
He's like, the good news is the Super Friends destroyed the Love Totem. And she's like, so you're saying it's going to come back with another vessel? It's like, exactly. And then
that's what I was about to say.
Then we see the little girl.
And on the back of her neck, the Love Totem is starting to sprout. So, she has been invested with
Looks like a tattoo on her neck.
And then slowly starts to become three-dimensional. And since she is, like, little Chloe is like the embodiment of love. I mean, she's such a sweet, innocent, loving child that tries her best to help everybody and can't stand bad images and stuff. She becomes the embodiment of the Love Totem. So they're going to build on that, and we've got 3 episodes to see how that all comes together. Exhausting. Now, now we're on to Stargirl. Now, when we last left our intrepid Stargirl, she was just stepping back from the Shadow Realm with Dr. McNider. And as they're saying their hellos and stuff, who steps out of the Shadow Realm but Cindy? Because she, of course, went back and saved Cindy, too. But all the people on this plane didn't quite realize that. And Cindy basically quickly volunteers to join them, and in fact is saying, "Okay, now who's with me to go kill Eclipso?" Because she's very much the enemy of my enemy is my temporary ally kind of person. Yeah. So don't say friend, but temporary ally she can go with. Yeah. So, and then of course they come back, and Jennifer, the Green Lantern, and Beth Chapel, the new Dr. Midnight, are at the school searching around because that's the other place that they detected shadow energy. And they find this little lump of kind of shadow sludge. And Jennifer uses a ring on it, and it looks like it's destroyed. But if you're paying close attention, it also looks like the ring kind of absorbed the shadow sludge. So the ring may be corrupted by the shadow sludge of Eclipso. But then at that point, over Beth's goggles, she gets contacted and realizes that they're home. So they rush back to the house, and they come in the door, and the first thing that Beth sees is Dr. McNider saying how great it is to finally meet her. And she runs up and hugs him, and is like, and she offers to give him his goggles back. He says, "Nope, got my own." And they're linked to my incognito shades too, so he can go around with just regular shades on and look like he's just fine. And as a blind man, that works for him, because the reason he built the goggles in the first place is because he was blind. But then he built all that extra tech in him and made him even better. And then they find out that Cindy is going to be going with them, which not everybody's real happy about. Jennifer is sent to go lie down because she's exhausted. but it's also because she's fighting the influence of the sludge, and she's having these terrible nightmares where Eclipso's in there trying to influence her. We don't quite get the finishing of that yet, so it's going to obviously be in the final episode. But they do decide they're going to need the full strength of the entire JSA. Mike's still out looking for the Thunderbolts. And I think Pat says he's out chasing the lightning is what he did, but basically he's out looking for the Thunderbolt because he knows it's out there because there's all these like giant bits of food are showing up, like giant cheeseburgers the size of a playground, a merry-go-round kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's going, and then he finds evidence of who has the Thunderbolt. So he finds the little kid, Hakeem, who is also a paper boy, and convinces Hakeem that he needs the help because if he's going to keep the Thunderbolt, it comes with the responsibility, and otherwise he shouldn't be keeping the Thunderbolt. He should give it back to Mike. But Hakeem he's starved for friends. He has no friends and stuff, and he's got a mean older sister that says, "Oh, you got to go do the dishes and stuff." I need to go save the world. No, you got to do dishes. Okay, so you want to help me do dishes? So Mike goes to help him do dishes, and then the evil sister occasionally brings more dishes in just to piss him off. And that's Mike's story for this episode, really. Now, then we got two other parts because we need to get Yolanda back, and we need to get what's the boy's name? I can't think of his name. Rick.
Our man. Yeah,
Rick. I always forget what his name is, so I always want to just call him Our Man. They want to get They want to get Rick back because they think maybe using his father's notes he could rebuild the hourglass. And they want to get Yolanda back because, among other things, she's Courtney's best friend and has always got Courtney's back, and they think they're going to need everybody they can. So Courtney comes and waylays Yolanda as she's coming out of school before her mom picks her up and lets her know that she was not the first JSA member to kill somebody, that the original JSA did it to the original host of Eclipso, and figuring that would make her feel better and not so alone. But she said that was even worse. That means, that whole costume comes from murderers, and she was never going to wear it again. Well, Cindy is eavesdropping on that conversation. And so Cindy breaks into Yolanda's bedroom, and Cindy's like, "I thought you were dead." He said, "Yep, nope. Sorry, not happening."
Yeah, you can thank Courtney for that.
You can thank Courtney for that. And then she's like, "I came to give you a message. Stay gone," because she knew if she told Yolanda to stay gone, that's the last thing Yolanda was going to do, because nobody wants to listen to Cindy. And she also admitted that it wasn't what's his name, the Brainwave son, who had released her picture during that acceptance speech to everybody's phone. It was her, and we kind of already knew that, but she didn't.
Yeah, Yolanda didn't know.
But Yolanda comes back to the team and basically says that I'm here to watch your back to make sure that Cindy doesn't stab you in the back. But once this is over with, I'm gone again. Now, Pat is going to try to get Rick out of jail. So he shows up at Rick's uncle's hospital room to try to convince him to drop the charges. He says, you got a good kid there and stuff, and he really didn't mean no harm. And basically he says, there's a few misunderstandings and stuff, and I'd really like to get you to drop the charges because a thing like this could ruin his whole life. And of course, he's an asshole because he can't talk, but he writes on a little slip of paper for Pat to read, "Go to hell." And he says, "Okay, so Pat, our ever-loving sidekick guy, closes and locks the hospital room door, closes the blinds, and kind of reminds him that he was a soldier and that he has a little bit of bad in him."
Yeah.
And this guy, you could tell Rick's uncle is on the bed freaking out because he knows some bad's going to happen. He was saying, your brother trusted you to take care of Rick, and you didn't really do that, did you? You just used him. And so he lets
Yeah.
kind of a little bit of the darkness out. We don't know what torture he did, but we got him to drop the charges.
Yeah. We didn't see what he actually did
I have a
to
feeling it being Pat, it was more scare than actual doing, even though he made it look as menacing as possible. And
yeah.
the other guy was such an asshole, he would believe it.
Yeah.
But we both know Rick is not going to really seriously hurt somebody unless he absolutely has to. I mean, not Rick, Pat. So Rick is back. So Rick, the next thing we see with Rick is him going through the pages of his dad's journal, trying to think of how to.
I like when we see the scene of Rick getting out of jail and Pat's waiting for him outside, and he's like,
I need a ride.
"Hey Rick, I thought you could use a ride." And he's like, "My uncle dropped the charges." Yeah. Do you know why that is? No idea. Go on, get in the car.
Come on. Yeah. And then so he's looking to fix the
hourglass.
Dr. McNider and Dr. McNider 2 have combined the power of their two goggles to process all the information on analyzing where they're going to have to get Eclipso. So they know that they took the 8-hour window and dropped it to 4 hours. We see the kid version of Eclipso talking directly to Jennifer in her dreams, and basically gets her to call the rest. And he's like, "That's okay. That's exactly what I wanted you to do."
He's giving Green Lantern Jennifer in her sleep like illusions or whatever while she sleeps, like dreams about everyone dying and him taking over Stargirl's body, basically.
Right.
And then he confronts Beth and Dr. Midnight because they go to like a JSA place to try to further improve their calculating.
That's right.
And the little boy is there, but they can see through it with their goggles, and he's actually, the evil Eclipso.
Right, and they needed.
And they're like, "We can see who you are."
They needed
the computing power at the
JSA mainframes.
Yeah.
And so that's what they want.
But that's where Eclipso confronts Beth and McNider there, and Beth is like, "Well, I've already hit the alarm signal, so the other members are going to all be here soon." And he's like, perfect. That's exactly what I need. He's like, "What?" He's like, "I need them all here to make Stargirl fall, or to make Courtney fall, or whatever, to make her go dark. Release her dark side, or something like that."
Yep.
And like we see like imagery of what Green Lantern is dreaming about, of Stargirl with an Eclipso face.
Yeah, with the half Eclipso face on. And then the only other big thing we see is we do see Zeke working on Stripe in one scene. And so Zeke is, I think Zeke is becoming like a maintenance man for them. He's going to have a small part in the rest of it. He's no longer going to be like he's still going to be a side character, but he's going to be a slightly more active side character because he's going to probably constantly be putting new additions to the Stripe robot.
Yeah. There was that, like, I think the last line of the show was like a haunting bit with him saying, after I get Courtney to indulge in the dark side or her darkness or something, he's like, then I'll be able to eat the whole world soon, and then I'll be your god, or something like that.
I'll be your god.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. Now we have just one more episode before the end of the season. And it's already been confirmed for season 3, so don't feel like they're going to leave us like hanging. And next season we're hoping to get the actual full crossover with the regular Arrowverse. Where we actually see two-way communication, not just Jay Garrick showing up. But we have one more episode. Next week's episode is the final week of Stargirl. So expect us to want to focus on that one a lot next week. And then the following week, expect us to want to focus a whole lot on Supergirl.
Yeah,
Because
Supergirl will
Supergirl's
have 2 episodes in one day. That time on the
2
week
episodes
after.
in one day, and it will be the series finale. So this will be the last
Series finale
of mainstream Kara. Now, whether she comes back for some guest spots, that's still up in the air. But mainstream Kara, Melissa Benoist, is basically done on the week of the 9th. Because it'll air on the 9th, and we'll get to watch it on the 10th of November.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot going on. And just to touch on Batman or Batwoman, just to show you what's been going on, a bunch of the old trophies from Batman's years as a crime fighter have been released into the wild, and they're causing trouble. We're not going to focus a whole lot on Batwoman right now, but during the interim time before we have some new stuff starting, we might go back to that. So I'm going to just kind of catch people up a little bit before we're done. A tooth from Killer Croc has infected another person, and they became basically Killer Croc 2, because in this case, the Killer Croc thing was a virus. The Mad Hatter top hat has been shown in an episode, and it basically has its hypnotic capabilities. And the guy wearing it is a big fan of Alice, so he used it to break Alice out of Arkham. Right now, Alice and Supergirl are working together to catch the people who have gotten all these things, because Renee Montoya, they've introduced Renee Montoya into the show, has basically forced them together. She knows Batwoman's secret identity, and she's basically remanded Alice into Batwoman's custody with an ankle bracelet. But at the end of the last episode, she disabled the ankle bracelet with a stick taser, basically a cattle prod taser. But then, what's his name? Luke injected her with something. She says, "Was that something supposed to happen?" He says, "Well, no, but you're now full of nanites that'll tell us your location anywhere, so you can't just disable them like you did the ankle cuff." So basically, she's stuck again. So we're not sure if she's going to be working cooperatively or not. But that's just an overview, broad strokes. But the whole theme of the new season is Luke getting used to his new armor that his dad had made for him. Lucius Fox had made armor for him, and they discovered it at the end of last season. And they're now calling him Batwing, and he's Batwoman's sidekick kind of thing. We also meet the new Batwoman's birth mother, but we don't know where we're going with this yet. But all of that will be building, and we may be focusing on Batwoman a little bit more once these other 2 shows end, until we get some other stuff to crunch on, because we're unfortunately getting kind of a little bit light on some of our shows because we're getting into some gap areas. Now, of course, like I said, we're going to probably take December off, so by January, maybe we'll have a few more things up and running for us. Shoot, it's like a minute till 10. We did it again. We came in under time.
We did it.
This is a great time to stop. Remember, you can see me on GamerSeuss, the Twitch channel. I'm not doing regular shows right now, but my next regular show, other than this podcast, will be Game Day for Extra Life, which is November 5th. So that's not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And we try to do as much of a 24-hour stream as possible to support the Children's Miracle Network. I will not be able to do a full 24 hours, obviously, with my health. It's part of the reason I'm not doing that much broadcasting right now. But hopefully that'll improve once I move and some stressors are relieved. But I will be broadcasting as much as I can that day. And when I'm not broadcasting, I will be setting my channel to host other Extra Life broadcasters, including Drury University here in town, who's in direct cooperation with Cox Health Network for the Children's Miracle Network, and a couple other of the local broadcasters I'm going to be trying to do link share with. And during that Saturday, I will do a special episode of Game Time. Now, I don't know if we still haven't talked about whether either Greg or Lurch will be in on a special episode or not. Partly depends on scheduling and when I'm going to do it and everything. And obviously, we're not going to touch on all of our media stuff because we got to save that for the following episode on Wednesday. But I might kind of focus it around campaign world building and tips for both writers and DMs and stuff about how to build characters and encounters and describe environments and build your world. So it'll be a very, very much more of a focused / history of gaming kind of episode, at least from my side. If one of the others joins us, we might get some history of video games, or we might get some talk about games from overseas, because that's one of Greg's favorite topics. But I'm not sure as of yet what's going to happen. We'll know more next Wednesday. But you can see us every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time with me, Clyde Doc Star. We have Philip Lurch Landergan, and we have Greg Pullman. And we try to bring you everything and anything that's involved with the Nerdosphere in cooperation with Eclectic Endeavors, the people under the Springfield Regional Art Council that bring you the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo and the Picnic at the End of the Universe. Until next week, we're going to bid you adieu, and may all your rolls be 20s, all your fails be epic, and remember to save. Game over.
See ya.